I love working with a team towards a common goal.
For the camaraderie.
Camaraderie and playing with my teammates.
I play for my team.
Teamwork and the connections that I can build on and off field.
For the community and the exercise.
Because of the community and the competition.
I like playing Ultimate Frisbee for the competition.
I play for the competition and the fun.
For fun.
Because fun.
I love getting to work hard.
You get out of it what you put into it.
Leave everything out here.
Every time I step on the field, I want to be a better player.
You know, give something people to talk about.
Be happy but never satisfied. To step away from real life and focus on Frisbee.
I play because I love Ultimate.
Find your drive.
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 Good afternoon. We are here at the finals of the High School Invitational Tournament in Ajax, Ontario. My name is Sanjay Parker. I am joined by the effervescent May Nguyen. May, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. We just came off of watching the most electric semifinal. Unfortunately, the stream has been very unlucky with our lopsided games we've decided to stream today, haven't we?
Yes, we I wouldn't say the games we've watched have been bad, but we've definitely missed some of the really electric games, such as the other semifinal between Kelvin and Notre Dame. Kelvin's now about to pull on the right side of your screen, and the pink receiving is ECI on the left side of the screen. Kelvin, I believe, May, were the winners of this tournament last year. That's correct?
Yes, and ECI came second place, so this is the same finalists.
So it's the exact same rematch. Wow.
Goes to show the strength of these two programs.
Before we get started any further, let's just do a quick land acknowledgement.
And we acknowledge that the land on which we gather is situated within the traditional and treaty territory of the Mississaugas, more specifically the Mississaugas of Scugog Island First Nation, signatories of the Gunshot Treaty of 1788 and the Williams Treaties of 1923.
Now that we're respectful, we can respect this massive huck that just went up. Unfortunately, it did not connect with the player downfield, but I'm glad he tried that at the beginning of the game.
So Kelvin with the immediate offensive transition here. Zay Bekta with the disc. Looking at a giant crossfield shot to Robertson, who drops it. And ECI has another chance. Vecchio with the disc. Pananin. Sorry.
That's Ethan with the disc right now. He's one of the main handlers here for this ECI line, throwing a crazy overhead throw.
Which is caught by Medina Ichagich.
dishes it off to 95, Marcus Colebrook. Medina and Marcus were two of the highlight players in the semifinals. They're both extremely strong two-way players, but they bring different things to the field. Medina is the point. You'll see her all today. She is the number one person in the zone for ECI's defense, and she'll get a couple goals as well. While Marcus Colebrook, he is an athlete extraordinaire. He's actually a AAA rated hockey player. He's going to the Wilfrid Laurier University next year as a football player. He just learned to play this year. But his coaches think that his best sport is ultimate frisbee.
Of course.
He is still learning the rules, however, so he wants to make sure that he's trying to be as spirited as possible given everything. That was a turnover, but ECI were able to get the disc back, and now Kelvin have a chance to put their O-line on and see what we can put out on the field.
It looks like ECI tends to put very similar players out and push at the very beginning half of the game. You can see that Medina and both Medina and Marcus Colebrook are still out on the field. And we can probably expect to see that for the first half.
Do we expect to see a lot of rotation through the full squad, or will it be a lot more of a restricted rotation for the game today, do you think, May?
I think for ECI in particular, it will be a bit more of a restricted game today, as we saw in the semifinal, despite them actually winning 11-5.
On him, Ethan, turn around and watch.
Sylvie Klassen has the disc on the sideline right now, and she's not getting much help. But Zabe Bekta helps her out there, and Maeve Hammerling with the disc.
Move in.
There you can see Medina, number 9, the female player at the top of this ECI zone. She got a lot of blocks in that first game in the semifinals, and she just has energy to spare. We saw her on the sideline later between games. Didn't look like she was tired at all.
Incredible shot by Sylvie Klassen to Maeve Hammerling there. But yes, Medina has been on this mark for both the semifinal, and it looks like she's going to continue her role into this final. I don't know how she finds the energy to be able to count stalls the entire time and play offense and be scoring majority of ECI's goals. Beautiful shot from Sylvie Klassen. Again, she will be a huge key player to watch for during this final as well.
What I really liked there was the spacing from Thomas Airy. He really found that corner, spread the field, made that throw almost easy to put it over the defensive cover of Marcus Colebrook. Great vision there from the thrower and great receiving ability there by Thomas. You might be able to hear a bit of wind in our microphones today. The wind's been coming, gusting and going, but mostly it's been coming towards the cameras across the field. It doesn't affect the game too much in terms of one after another, in terms of going upwind and downwind, but it does affect lateral throws like the one you just saw. It would float a little bit and then dive down given the wind.
In our previous semifinal, ECI kind of relied on that lateral crosswind to make a lot of those deep hucks to Colebrook a little floaty so he can get under those. As you can see, as he has quite the insane vertical, so so if Kelvin can just drop those throws in there like Sylvie Klassen just did with her zippy over top throw, then Colebrook is giving these deep offensive players a little bit of space, hoping that it will be floaty.
All right, point 3 in what has been a pretty fast first 2 points. Tightly contested. Both these teams have really amazing offenses, and it's going to be interesting to see how strong their defenses can be in terms of affecting this game going forward.
Fantastic pull by Raichura there, but ECI is able to get that off that sideline, and Kelvin's playing a match defense on them, with Vecchio putting up a big huck that is reeled in by number 4. Great defensive effort by Kelvin here.
Break side throw there. Great defense there by number 36 for Kelvin. And a block in return from Ethan for ECI. ECI are now just in the red zone, steps away from taking a lead in this game. A little push pass by Ethan. Nice try. Unfortunately, it did not come up all the way. Nice bid attempt by there by number 4, Reese Kaladze, but he wasn't able to keep it up in the air.
Yeah, those push passes just keep getting caught by the wind. Since the wind is coming towards the camera here, those push passes, without enough spin on them, they're just going to drop. So Sylvie Klassen with the disc here to Liam Howes in the middle. And he has a big fake to Robertson there, I believe, but swings it instead to Raichura. Howes back with the disc in the middle. And he's eyeing down Robertson and puts it up.
This is the matchup we want. Craddock versus Robertson. Craddock wins round 1, but I bet you we're going to see, sorry, not Craddock, Colebrook is going to see a lot of those matchups all game today.
And as you can see, despite not having the height matchup there, he could reach easily.
ECI decided to send it back right the other way.
And a huge block by Emma Robertson. She will be also a key defender here in this final.
More turnovers so far in this 1 point than we've seen in the previous 2.
Raichura has the disc on the sideline here. He has Sylvie Klassen as a reset back, and Howes across the middle. Howes with the kneeling grab. And another big fake from Howes. Elects to swing it to Sylvie Klassen back.
A key part of hucks in this game is going to be factoring in that wind that we talked about. The wind is going to be constantly pushing the disc towards the camera, and so if you're hucking downfield, you have to compensate for that.
Sylvie Klassen just has so much spin on her throws, able to pop it over that cup to easily swing, making it look like there's no wind at all.
This matchup between Sylvia Klassen and Medina Etobicoke for ECI is one of my favorite matchups for this game. Medina's defense is going to make it really hard for Sylvia to throw exactly what she wants, but Sylvia has such a range of throws and such composure on the disc that I'm sure she'll get what she wants.
It looks like there's an open player on that sideline, wide open. And Kelvin has melted to a match defense.
Nice throw by Ethan down the sideline, getting a goal, pushing it to 2-1 in the finals thus far. Tight game. This is going to be a great final is my expectation.
Despite getting scored on, I like that Kelvin's sideline still rushes the field to support their teammates.
Yeah, we were talking about this in the semifinals, May, but the enjoyment and the spirit of these teams throughout the entire tournament have been really great, and it's really emphasized by this Kelvin team. I mean, just look at their jerseys. How can you not have spirit with pink waves, you know?
Yes, even some of the players are rocking some pink KT tape, so...
Meanwhile, ECI are not what I would call unspirited, but they're definitely more of a grind and grit type team.
Yes, for sure. I think a lot of their sideline comes from their coach, actually.
I was just going to say the same thing. Who needs spirit when you have a coach who can talk as much as theirs?
Brent Jackson.
Big pull here from ECI.
And that pull just fades away towards the sideline. Matthias Froese picks up the disc, and he has 2 resets back in Kate Horn and Sylvie Klassen.
Matthias is known for his over-the-top throws. And when I say over-the-top, I don't mean fancy. I mean throwing literally over other players' heads.
Horn with the disc, back to Froese. Froese has a few options. Number 3 on Kelvin. Ormiston is putting his hands up, signaling that he's open. But Kelvin still does a great job of just swinging the disc back and forth. Matthias froze again. Has the disc in the middle. And that over-the-top throw, that signature throw you were just talking about.
He's got the mullet and he's got the over-the-top throws. And
Is
that's
that a mullet?
That's his whole personality. Maybe it's not a mullet, but it's definitely some nice hair. I do like the locks.
Yeah. Beautiful locks. Sylvie Klassen with the disc in the middle.
That's who you want the discs to be with when you're in the red zone. She's just going to make the right decision despite being such young.
Kate Horn with the disc in the middle again. Thomas Airy on the far sideline. Back to Sylvie Klassen in a high-pressure catch there. Straight to her chest. Again, Ormiston is waving his hands saying, I'm open, pulling some defenders with him.
The tough throw over the top against the wind. Not exactly where I would want to be throwing to if I was the handler. Someone should probably communicate that to him, but they're too focused on not throwing the disc away. There it goes, over the top, and what a grab in the corner. Oh, it looks like we've got a call on the field. The observer's getting involved, trying to clarify the situation. We actually have 4 observers in this finals because it's such a big game for these teams. May, did you see what happened there?
I did not see what happened, but it looked like the player who caught the disc was open for quite a while, so not sure that it would be a pick call or any of...
Well, May, we unfortunately don't have the privilege of replay up where we are, but you as the viewer, you do. So feel free to rewind the camera back on this YouTube video, maybe 30 or a minute seconds, and tell us what you think, if that was a righteous call or not. Looks like the 4 observers have gotten together to see if they can't figure out what happened. We've talked a little bit about what the offense for Kelvin might look like. What do we think the offense from ECI is built around, May?
In the semifinal, when I was watching earlier, I saw that the ECI offense is primarily run by their male matching players. From what I saw, they run a bit of a dominator set, mostly working through handler style cuts, and they get very creative in that short space because their female matching players are always in the cup, running until they're gassed, and they get to take a little bit of a backseat on offense.
Yeah, I would agree with that. So it looks like the disc has gone back to Mateus, and he's got it in the disc in front of the end zone where he was just before.
Sylvie Klassen with the disc in the middle. Looks at Froze. Froze has the disc back in his hands. Maybe he can hit Charlie Ormiston again here, but he elects not to. He's being very patient and sees no options currently, but hits Thomas Airy.
ECI Medina and the ECI defense are doing a really fantastic job of pushing that Kelvin offense back. They're not giving them any easy options in that area, despite keeping a zone defense right up to the end zone.
A great read by Kate Horn there, and Thomas Airy reels that one in, even though it's a little bit quick for him after readjusting. Kate Horn again with the disc. Yes, this ECI Cup is not making it easy.
What they're also doing a really good job of is using the wind. They're making it hard to throw to the left-hand side of the field, and so they're kind of poaching off more onto the right side because there's not a lot of options. Note Marcus at the back of the zone, Marcus Colebrook, as he is so athletic, he can still get to that left-hand side if it's thrown up. There's a call on the field. Looks like a strip call from
Kate Horn
on Medina. Thanks, May. They're discussing it with spirit, and that's what I love to see. May, while we're having this moment of being discussed, it looks like she's retracting her foul call. Great spirit there by Kate Horn. Now it's ECI's disc. They have a chance to go up 3-1 here.
I believe it's Vecchio at the desk here. And he's a big shooter, and as I say that, he shoots up to the 2 female matching players in the end zone there.
Unfortunately, it didn't look like the offense was quite ready to receive that, plus the wind really pushed it kind of behind their back. It would have been a really spectacular grab if they had gotten it.
Move in.
Sylvie Klassen with the great leading throw up.
Stay over there.
Kate Horn to Sylvie Klassen. Back to Thomas Airy across the field on the far side of the field. Thomas Airy has Sylvie Klassen with the disc again, and she throws a nice over the top butt. And Matthias Rose comes down with it, with an aggressive snatch out of the air. Thomas Airy to Matthias Froese again, and he throws a dime of a shot, but unfortunately, number 4, Camille Jane, is not able to catch that one.
Now ECI's offense are moving quickly before Kelvin has a chance to set up defense.
You got time. He's barely on you.
Vecchio with the disc on that open side.
And Thomas Airy just comes flying out of nowhere. I don't think he actually touched that one, but
very safe play there by Thomas. I like that he didn't really touch the offender there, but was able to make a play on that disc. Mateus calls violation. It looks like he's calling that Medina was too close to him. He called her away too close, and she didn't pay attention. Now he's calling a violation. Medina, we find out, is a volleyball player. I don't know if that explains her cardio, but it does explain why she's so good at reading the disc.
And also grabbing everything in the air that's put up. As we saw, she caught a big sky ball in the ECI end zone line earlier in this game.
I could watch
Charlie Ormiston catching that on the second. Matthias Froese is a very satisfying player to watch. He's clearly the commander of this offense here, throwing pretty much whatever he wants here at this point as long as people are open. And Sylvie Klassen unfortunately drops it. Vecchio with the disc here, likely loading up a big huck if they're on their own end zone line. And a big huck from Vecchio.
There it comes. All the way going to Marcus Craddock. Colebrook. You know, he can jump high, but that's a tough read coming over your shoulder like that.
He had a great attempt on it, though.
I wouldn't have been too surprised if Marcus had come down with it, because he has pulled out the spectacular before, but that just wasn't quite it. The wind really pushed it towards the sideline, making it too high when it came over the line.
Great inside break to center the disc to Kate Horn there from Matthias Froese.
What I really like about this Kelvin team is their use of female handlers. It's not something we've seen enough of at this tournament, and it's one of the strengths Kelvin have.
Absolutely. I think that's a part of why incredible defense there, but I would say it's part of why.
They have to pick up the disc. They have to pick up the disc. Brennan, pick it up, Brennan. He's got a stall count.
All right, there was a little confusion there as ECI wanted to call a timeout, but they had to have possession of the disc in their hands before they could call a timeout. Not a big deal, just a small infraction there by Kelvin. All right, so ECI are now on a timeout. It looks like they haven't had a lot of luck getting through that Kelvin zone, and they've had to resort to a couple hucks the last couple possessions. If you're ECI, what are you looking to change here as a coach?
For ECI, I believe Kelvin is running a match defense on them. Are they not? Are they? I can't remember. It seems like their offensive possessions have been so quick with this these hucks back and forth.
Well, regardless of what they're doing on defense, ECI haven't had a lot of luck moving forward yet. They've had to huck it out of the back to get rid of the pressure. I think if they're going to get out of this, they have to see a bit more movement from the midfield coming towards the disc and then clearing out, because otherwise those handles just don't have enough options. They're a bit separated from the midfield, and they aren't getting enough connection and flow throughout.
I believe the struggle also in particular for this line is when the female matching players are working super hard in the zone, and if they're not used to getting extremely involved in the offensive possession, then it can become a bit disconnected with just Colebrook and Vecchio back here in the backfield.
So ECI are going to pick up the disc here on the left-hand side of the field. They are up 2-1. A goal here would push them 3-1, giving them a 2-point lead. Marcus is lined up in the middle of the field, looks set to make some sort of play downfield. There he goes. Nice over-the-top throw. He's not in quite yet.
Vecchio is his reset right now with Matthias Froese as his matchup defender. Ujasic has the disc in the middle field with Thomas Airy as his matchup defender right now. Matthias has a great effort.
Matthias is clearly experienced player. He's calling all sort of rules that I don't think UCHSI are familiar with. In that case, he called a travel on Vecchio.
Out of there, Maggie.
Maggie Cousineau is trying to get into the mix, but her coach is calling her to get out. And Colebrook with the score from Vecchio, putting it over the top of his mark there.
Really nice dish over the top. That takes a lot of control, a lot of athleticism just to flip that, and then a nice by Vecchio just to catch that and bring it down to earth. That puts UCI 3-1 up. If I'm Kelvin, I'm not too worried. I think this has been long points with chances both ways, but they clearly need to do something about their offense because they're just losing the disc too often.
I agree.
A couple of the times they've lost the disc, it's just been unlucky drops here or there, and that's a matter of focus. They are coming off of a very intense universe points semifinal, whereas ECI beat their team 13-1 and had plenty of time off. That might indicate ECI are maybe a bit cold coming into this game, but it might mean that Kelvin might not have the stamina to keep up for the full 80 minutes.
For sure, and in addition to that, because ECI had finished their game so early, they were able to catch a glimpse of Kelvin's offense in the last few moments of their semifinal. The entire sideline was actually full of players from the previous game watching that electric universe point final.
Shout out to everyone there who was able to watch that game, and shout out to Notre Dame who pushed a tight game in that semifinal. Here we are, a female puller pulling into Kelvin from ECI.
Yes, I believe that is Kaya.
That's correct. Kaya is
Kaya.
a fantastic grabber. She also plays softball at quite a high level, which explains why she's able to field so many grounders.
Kaya Kilnif-Takis.
Looks like they gave Medina a point off here just to give her a little bit of a rest. So she's not leading the defense here for ECI for once.
It'll be Kayla McCracken on the mark instead. And we'll see if Kayla can get as many blocks as we've seen Medina. But Zay Bekta with the disc. Back to Maeve Hemmerling. Kate Horn in the middle with it. Doesn't look like she has a ton of options, but her handlers activate and Bekta has the disc again. Liam Howes in the middle.
So what I really like about this this ECI defense is they're putting 6 people pretty close to the field, and there's a good amount of space behind them, but it's a tough throw with the wind and with that last back, forcing that narrow window, if you want to pop it over the top, to be quite small, and all they have instead is to throw this big disc, and then it's just a 50-50 battle.
Vecchio has the disc right now, and every time he has the disc, I'm just wondering, is he gonna put up a giant huck?
That's Vujasic with the disc. He was the one who also was playing last with a good ability to read and block those long shots.
It's Maggie Cousineau with the disc on the sideline. It doesn't look like she has options, but Pananin is... Again, ECI with just working up the disc up the open side, they can get very creative with their offensive cuts, just somehow getting open and slipping by their defender.
Pananin is one of those players for ECI. He looks a little unassuming. He's not quite as flashy as some of the other folks that ECI have on their roster, but he is maybe the heart and soul of that team. He won't throw it away. He'll make the obvious play, and he's so clean with his handles. It's a crucial player if a team wants to win a tournament such as this.
typically in his defensive role, he's putting a lot of pressure as a side mid or a mid as well. So even though his presence isn't seen through direct Ds all the time, quite like Medina's hand blocks, he's definitely putting a lot of pressure on those swings.
Kelvin has called a timeout here, their first of the half, just to talk about this 3-1 score that ECI have racked up. Oh, my mistake. Sorry, it is actually 4-1 to ECI, explaining even further why they're calling a timeout here. They got to stop this run. The key, I think, for Kelvin isn't so much their defense, but it's how they compensate offensively. They've got to find some ways to get that disc behind that defensive cup that ECI have been putting on that have been so effective all tournament.
It somehow feels like ECI's zone has like 8 people in it.
Yes.
They're just covering so many bases that I'm not even sure where I would give advice to the Kelvin cutters on where to stand. Or where to cut to, I suppose. Shouldn't really just be standing there.
No, should not just be standing there. And that's part of the problem, I think, is that the people who are not one of the handlers, the 3 midfielders and that deep option, they're finding it hard to find the right spaces where they can be helpful and receive the disc from those 4 Kelvin handlers. Something we have seen being effective against ECI in the past is a give and go technique kind of running through the zone. That might be something that Kelvin could try, and we know they have the skill set for it. It's whether or not they can be aggressive enough to really push through that defense.
That type of aggression requires a ton of stamina, and I don't know if I can see Kelvin being able to do that after having to fight against Notre Dame's zone just a few minutes ago. Matthias collects the pull.
That's it, Noah.
Centers to Sylvie Klassen.
Move in, Marcus. Move in, Marcus.
Zay Bekta with the disc. Returns it to Matthias Froze. Back to Bekta.
Nice grab there.
Klassen with the reaching grab. And airy to Sylvie. And Maeve Hemmerling just down the sideline. That throw sneaking past the defender on the side.
What we saw though from Sylvie is her capacity to give and go the disc and grab it in momentum and make a quick throw. That's how they were able to get through that disc. Unfortunately, once it got to that midfield, sorry for the interruption there. That was a great throw over the top. Unfortunately, she wasn't able to bring it down. Marcus made his requisite play on it, and by the time it reached the ground, there was no one around able to get to it.
With the zone defense, ECI also does a great job of transitioning straight into offense while there's no match defender on them halfway up the field. They've made it halfway up the field while Kelvin is still looking for their matchups.
81 for Kelvin. Did call him out, but the observer ruled it back in.
No round, Zay. Come on, Marcus.
Number 9, Keith McCaffrey. I want to give him a shout out for doing a fantastic job locking up Marcus Colebrook on that defensive point just then.
However, Colebrook will be calling a foul on that play, actually. Looks like Thomas Airy is continuing to stretch out his quad. Perhaps.
Hopefully he's okay and not injured. Thomas would be a major loss for this Kelvin team if he had to go off.
Perhaps an overuse injury, as he was playing for the last 10 minutes of that universe point.
So it looks like the observer is explaining the rules there. Can you clarify what the rules are in terms of what contact is allowed to happen?
Any contact, I believe, that is made that impacts the play is considered a foul, whether you got disc first or not. So a lot of players will say, I got all disc first, but if you had to go through a player to get it, then that is still a foul. Colebrook with the drop, unfortunately.
That's it, Mark.
And Maeve Hemmerling has the disc in her hands.
Keep going, Medina. Watch.
I believe she's calling a disc space, but gets a few extra stalls for her.
Nice give and go there. That's exactly what Kelvin need if they're going to get behind this zone. Over the top.
Thomas Airy
Nice
is
grab.
a perfect spot for Matthias Froese to an easy.
And across the
end
field
zone.
there to Keith McCaffrey. Nice sitting grab there by Keith. That's exactly what Kelvin needed after that timeout. They really needed to punch back in, get into the goal so that it didn't go down to 5-1. 4-2 is a much more manageable scoreline.
Agreed.
Now Kelvin are going to go on defense. Let's see if they throw a curveball at ECI, if they're just going to stick with their one-on-one match defense. Kelvin have a very athletic team, which complements the athleticism that ECI also bring. What Kelvin bring in addition to what ECI have is maybe a bit more height.
This is true. It looks like Medina Ichigic and Kaya Kilniftakis is going back out there. So we'll see what this defense throws at them. I find if the female matching players are taking more of a backseat in this offense, they can use that to their advantage by having one of Kelvin's female matching players just patrolling that open space that ECI seems to keep getting open in. Then perhaps we'll get a turn from that.
All right, here comes the pull from
Raichura.
Right here, Kelvin, let's go!
It looks like Sylvie Klassen's resting this point. What we often see at the highest level is when we want players to play as many points as possible, they might play 3 and rest 1. So that's probably what they're doing with these players as much as possible. But when you have to win in the finals, you have to win. Sometimes you have to push through whatever exhaustion you might be facing.
Vecchio with the disc to Pananen in the middle, and Colebrook is on that sideline breaking free from his defender, Liam Howes. And just sneaking past the Kelvin defender there, Kaya Kilniftakis catches that put from Colebrook.
Kaya's nickname in the commentator industry is also known as Bubble Braid. Big look up by Ethan. Spencer's got it all day, but he's going to leave it for Medina. And then Spencer gets it back. Nice teamwork from the two of them to make sure that they both get the plaudits from each other.
Marcus Colebrook.
I do have a history of calling Marcus Spencer. So sorry, Marcus. I will only call you from Colebrook from now on.
You can see Medina falling on her butt and just laughing at the fact that Colebrook caught that for her instead.
Colebrook, I think, could have gone out for it initially and decided to leave the space for his teammate. And thankfully, he was there anyways to help pick up the pieces. They are such a scary offensive tandem that Kelvin's going to have to continue to face for the rest of this game if they're going to have to try and stop them.
We are seeing some beautiful hucks, too, from Vecchio and Pananen especially. So if I were Kelvin, I would play a little more of a flat mark on that because those are coming out a little too easy.
What Kelvin need to do now is they need to set a bit of a standard, even if it's going every other for a couple of offensive points, as in ECI get one, Kelvin get one, that's fine. But they need to score when they start the point on offense.
But how hard is it to score when you have...
Not that hard when you have them throwing those underthrows. Big shot up by Sylvie Klassen. That's 2-1 for Colebrook in the aerial battles against Thomas today. Oh, that's not Thomas. Sorry.
That is Marcus Colebrook.
No, 10 for Kelvin.
Oh, Robertson.
Got you. Nice bid there to keep that in play. Let's see if he can make a smart play now. Over the top to Kaya.
Pananen with the disc again. Bekta is A little bit more flat on him. And Colebrook has the disc on the sideline.
Nice read by Ethan. Unfortunately, he isn't able to keep it up all the way through the field, but he was able to grab what wasn't the best throw by Colebrook.
Becta with the disc in the middle. Matthias in power position, and he is just streaking up the sideline. Sylvie Klassen across the field there.
Someone on that coaching staff is clearly listening to this stream, because they clearly told Kelvin that he got to do a couple more give and goes to get to the zone, and it's working for them. Sylvia Klassen tries to get through the cup. Unfortunately, there's a great hand block there by Kaya McGracken.
Kayla.
Timeout called by ECI.
ECI has also been very, very level-headed with these timeout calls.
I think that's the maturity in these plays is something that we've been seeing from all the teams that have reached far stages in this tournament. Something you and I have talked about all weekend, May, is how amazed we've been by not only the technique of these young players, but also the athleticism. But it's ultimately, because of that, it's the patience, the maturity, and the intelligence that the players can bring to the field that's going to be the difference maker in terms of who wins this game. The sun's going down. It's getting a little chilly out here, but it's up to the benches to keep energy high, not to just huddle up with some blankets, but to keep energy and keep pushing energy towards whoever's on that field at any given time. May, I know you pretty well. You're one of the best sideliners I've ever met. I feel like you've got energy for days, and whenever you're on my sideline, you always pump everyone up. What are some of the things that you do as a good sideliner to make sure that people are getting the energy that they need?
I know as a player on the field, when I'm defending someone, it's very hard to both notice the little things and also... Oh my goodness. That was an amazing effort by Kea. It looks like she's wiping turf off of her face, but she's okay somehow to play the cup again.
That was clearly a set play with Marcus running up the line there. Big shot up, and it just went over his head. Kaya had a beautiful bid to try and keep it in play. Her softball skills coming in handy, but she wasn't able to do it, unfortunately, this time. I'm sure she'll get another chance later this game.
I mean, we've seen her do it before. It was just off her fingertips. You could see she had some control over it, just spinning off that last finger of hers. Great collection by Robertson.
It'll be interesting to see how many points coaches are going to let Matthias skip for this Kelvin offense for the rest of this game. He's really what's making them tech through this zone.
His release is just lightning fast. I don't think any mark would want to mark him ever.
Get over, Ethan. Yep. Ethan, back up.
Oh,
great hammer over the top. Unfortunately, a little too far. The wind carried that with it. It's tough to remember to compensate for wind at any given time. ECI have another chance with the disc here.
No, what's our force? Away force, away, 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 away. Matthias underneath, Matthias underneath, Matthias underneath. No backfield, no backfield.
Foul called by Matthias on
Vecchio.
Thank you, May. He claims that Vecchio pushed off him to get to open space. Something you're not allowed to do in this sport.
I would also agree with that call a bit. They're playing very aggressively, but I also like it.
I like that Matthias is calling a lot of these calls. It's important to know the rules and use them to your advantage, but also to retract them if it's not accurate.
Push him up line, play underneath. Oh, and no break.
Some players are okay with a bit of contact, but I'm glad that Matthias is feeling empowered to set or establish a boundary for what kind of contact he's okay with. Here. This Kaya with the disc in the middle. Kilneftaki's looking for options, and Pananin obviously is her release valve. Back to Vecchio. Pananen and Vecchio are just unstoppable in this handler space.
Pananen's footwork is really something to watch. He's not the fastest on the field, but he can just get open through a series of complicated cuts.
Unfortunate
Marcus
tumble.
takes a tumble. That's okay. It happens to the best of us.
On it, on the mark! On the mark, Medina, no break! Ethan!
Pananen gets the D past the two female matching players there, unfortunately. Looks like Maeve Hemmerly has gotten a gender mismatch on Vecchio here, but she's doing a great job of putting the stop down.
Maeve's got it unlocked. That's not a problem for Maeve.
And Emma Robertson with the clutch end zone block. But yes, I agree. Not a problem for Maeve there, clearly, as she let no breaks.
Big huck out. Owen Robertson versus Marcus Colebrook. Marcus wins again. He's just such a monster in that deep space. The speed, the strength, and the jumping ability.
Girls, you gotta come closer!
Speed is honestly the most important factor in being able to box a player out, and it seems like Marcus Colebrook is Sylvie Klassen.
Fantastic bid by Sylvie. Very safe. Great
Capital
timing.
D
And now she
diva
has
Sylvie
a
Klassen.
big throw.
Of course, she puts up a perfect huck. Two backed up, but unfortunately, it is not reeled in by Becta there. Sylvie Klassen is just such a spectacular player to watch.
What a great game this is, May. Really, both sides making great offensive and defensive plays. Handblock on
And
goal
Vecchio
scorer doorstep.
Vecchio gets his throw deleted by Matthias Froese.
Oh, can she get it? And she scores. This long point from hell is finally over. What a point for Kelvin.
And Kelvin stays in the game to keep it just a 3-point deficit.
You don't see a lot of huck blocks at this level, May. Let
Not
alone,
on Vecchio.
Let alone in any level in Ultimate. What a play there by Matthias. I don't know how his hand's feeling right now, though.
His hand looked not too sore to make a fisting "let's go" to his teammates, turning to the sideline, cheering for his own block.
Well, if that didn't indicate to everyone else that this is the game to play for, it's just being turned up a notch.
I think a play like that just requires so much intelligence or like anticipation from a player. It really goes to show Froze's game IQ.
UCI are throwing out their A-team on this O-line. Ethan Pananen, Marcus Colebrook,
Vecchio,
Medina, Kaya,
and Maggie Cousineau,
as well as Kayla McGrecken. The Kelvin sideline is amped up after that strong win. You know, May, it's these long points that winning those just adds such a morale boost and such an energy boost in what is such a crucial game. Pull here, and he stops the roll right on the sideline. Maybe not as far down as they would have liked, but it's a good position to defend from.
Vaichura's on the mark.
Big throw up. Who's going to get it?
And
Huge
Maeve
defensive
Hemmerling.
block. She has two people run into her after she makes the block, but she's fine. She is a tank and does not care.
Her pink bandana is holding back her hair from moving so fast, I'm sure. That was an incredible block by Maeve Hemmerling.
Shout out Maeve Hemmerly. She's really showing up this game so far. Kelvin's stuck in the sideline a little bit. May, you know what country this is? Callahan country. We're in a dangerous place. But they turn it over, and ECI have it right on the doorstep here. Great defense there by Kelvin. Looks like we got a foul on the field. Maeve's down. It looks like she might need to take an injury sub. Hope she's okay. It's probably just the three men running into her after she made that block in the previous possession. She's going off now, replaced by...
Camille Jane, perhaps? Or no. Paige Prema.
Paige Prema, of course.
Liam House is also taking the injury sub, putting Zay Bekta on the field instead to play defense.
All right, so ECI will still take the disc here. They just had to swap out a couple players. Let's see if ECI are going to collect and do one of their famous set plays, or if they're just going to try and scramble it in.
Their famous set play being get the disc to Marcus Colbrook.
Yes. There we go. It actually wasn't Marcus. It was Kaya. Who else? If I'm throwing a disc to someone, I trust no one more than the bubble braid herself.
There's nothing I fear more than matching up against a girl with the perfect slick back and bubble braid or space buns.
What's your go-to hairstyle for a big game, mate?
It depends on how much time I have in the morning, but as my friends would know that I normally wake up about 15 minutes before I need to leave for a game, so.
So what does that look like? Just a ponytail?
Probably just a ponytail, or better described, a rat's nest. So.
Looks like we have another timeout on the field. It looks like it's probably taken by Kelvin, given the score. Score is now 6-3 in favor of ECI. Not out of hand, but Kelvin do need to turn around at some point to make up this game.
It's actually halftime, I believe.
No, half is at 7 points. Oh, half is right now, apparently. So sorry for the miscommunication there, team. It looks like we have a time half and not a score half. Time half coming up. We want to give a quick shout out to our sponsors. BE Apparel, they've got a tent here for all your apparel needs. They've got some of the best merch in the business. And Discraft, they supply all your disc needs. They've got some of the best discs in the business. We're going to cut to a quick commercial break, and we'll be back to you for the second half in just a moment.
All right, thank you so much. Bye.
I love working with the team towards a common goal.
For the camaraderie.
Camaraderie and playing with my teammates.
I play for my team. Teamwork and the connections that I can build on and off field.
For the community and the exercise.
Because of the community and the competition.
I like playing Ultimate Frisbee for the competition.
I play for the competition and the fun.
For fun.
Because fun.
I love getting to work hard.
You get out of it what you put into it.
Leave everything out here.
Every time I step on the field, I want to be a better player.
You know, give something people to talk about.
Be happy but never satisfied. To step away from real life and focus on Frisbee.
I play because I love Ultimate.
Find your drive.
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 Coming back in for the second half. We got 2 minutes left in the half before the teams have to make the field, but we can see ECI is already on the field and Kelvin's joining in on that left-hand side. Something I wanted to point out in this game is that the best players in both teams seem to be crossing each other off, and it's really coming down to the depth that both teams are supplying. Different women on both teams, especially. We saw Kaya for ECI just pulling out some great grabs, and I believe it was Emma Robertson really clutching some defensive and offensive plays in that first half. May, if you think Kelvin's going to make a comeback here, what are some of the things that you want them to do?
I want more Sylvie class and layout blocks.
Anything else defensively?
So amazing. But defensively, I would say to play a little bit more flat on their typical, big throwers on Vecchio and Pananen. They've been putting up some great shots. I think Matthias Froze did exactly that on Vecchio on that end zone line. So if they can get it down to that end zone line, it doesn't seem that ECI is as comfortable at bouncing it back and forth laterally as they are just putting it deep, because they've got such great receivers in Colebrook and Kaya and Medina Etobicoke.
I guess we'll see if they listen to you psychically or if this is just a hope and a dream. All right, here we are coming into the second half now. Just a reminder, ECI is up 3. 6-3 is the total score right now. The game does go until 13 or until we reach the 80-minute mark. Kelvin have to get at least 2 breaks plus a hold on this initial offensive point in order to come back in this game.
Let's see if they're able to hold on here. On the line we have Matthias Froze, Kate Horn, Sylvie Klassen, Zay Bekta, Kate Hammerling, Maeve Hammerling, Thomas Airy, and Nathan Shaw. On this.
If Kelvin's going to win this game, they got to pull some energy out. They had a tough semifinal, and it's going to be up to them to have the energy to keep up with this energetic ECI team.
This pull is going to be bricked by Matthias Froze.
Let's go,
the main offensive engine on this Kelvin team.
Move in. Hey, Reese, you're doing nothing. Come back and help. Big guy, right there. Bonus. Now stay on that guy. Bonus. Brennan, you.
Matthias looks nice and calm coming into this second half, but we know that he'll throw up some important plays when he needs to.
Now back up, bonus. Bonus back. Bonus. Reese, watch the guy behind you.
Drop.
Reese.
Drop, bonus.
Reese.
Get ready to help, bonus.
Kelvin panic, throw it to about halfway through the field, and now it's ECI's disc. Marcus picks it up, throws to Vecchio.
Colebrook with the disc on the sideline again. We'll see if they can get it off this sideline.
Big throw up, and Mateus makes the play again, pushing the disc out of bounds, but it looks like ECI is going to call a foul. Probably some sort of contact on the catcher's arm.
Bonus looks like he is calling the foul there, and they will likely go to the observer that had a full view of that.
They're discussing it, and that's part of the best parts of the game, is that it comes down to the players to talk about what they think actually happened. The observer can offer their opinion, but oftentimes it's not up to the observer to make a ruling. They only do it if it's a clear and obvious mistake by the players. Generally, the rule is that you have about 30 seconds to discuss before it's just sent back. We're definitely reaching that limit now.
It looks like the observer is saying something, so it is a contested foul.
Gotta love those hand signals.
Love that the observers are using them. Colebrook has the disc again, and his mark, Nathan Shaw, will hopefully make this very difficult for him. Bekta is on Vecchio in the matchup, and we'll see if he gets beat on this open side like so many other defenders in the past have been.
Great defense by Bekta.
Perfect defense by Bekta.
He has to put it up, and
but
Reese Galadze does come down with it regardless. That was a bit of a Hail Mary throw, and Reese read it like a book. Maybe he knows that that's what Marcus likes to throw, or maybe he's just that athletic. We'll never know, unless someone asks him later on, but for now, that's what it was. Unfortunate for Kelvin, they would have hoped to come out of that half and get a point to kind of get momentum back on their side. Now they have to get 3 breaks in this game.
That's what UCI is just so good at, is even though it's not to the intended receiver maybe, or maybe it's just a Hail Mary shot to anyone, just so many players just come down under any disc. They're just great at reading, just using their athletic ability to come down with those. Even when Kelvin is playing perfect defense in the backfield.
That was really great defense on those handlers.
Let's go, ECA!
Very impressive
Here we go!
show by Zay Bekta there.
All right, here comes the pull from Vecchio.
We've seen Vecchio put up some beautiful pulls in the past, so we'll see if this is
Let's go, ECA!
Up to his standards, and it is. That is a disc golf throw and a half. Mateus picks it up, throws immediately to the break side.
Howes has the disc back to Matthias in the middle. He's looking for his options, and then looks for a reset. Back to Howes on the far side, which we would call the high side.
Fake the hammer and then hit it behind his back to confuse Medina. Such a cruel play.
Great second effort by Ormiston, but he's unable to get it. Kolodski with the D there.
Great defensive play there by Apaza. He is calling a foul on it. Apaza's shaking his head no. But they're just deciding to contest it and send it back. They're asking the reserve what they think, and we're fortunate enough to be able to listen in here. She's simply saying that Kaladze is calling a foul. Palza says it's not. The only thing she can really offer is to send it back. Bananen starts with the disc in his hand. Hammer across the field. Most coaches I know would get pretty angry at a hammer on stall 1.
Bonus with the disc on the far sideline. And back to Vecchio, back to Pananen. Again, this is a very male-dominated offense right now. Vecchio with the disc on the low sideline. And House flattens out for just the last second there, but Bonus is able to come out with that. Kelvin gets the block.
Scuba to the break side. That's what I'm talking about. Matthias just loves his overhead thoughts.
And House.
Jump battle.
House goes up for it, but is unsuccessful.
Tough catch for House.
Kolodski.
Disc is in on that far side of the field.
Vecchio with the disc on the far sideline. If I were Kelvin, I'd want them to get it on that low sideline.
Nope, they're going to huck it to the end zone.
And Pananen.
Big athletic jump by Pananen. I did not know he had that in him. He probably got a grab on a finger to that disc, but he just wasn't able to reel it in. I got to say, Pananen's athletic ability in this game has really come to shine.
He just rose up in perfect jumping form for that one.
Like a salmon in a river.
And Matthias.
All right, this is just turning into a hucking battle. Maybe it's because the wind died down for a second. All the players are like, gotta get him in now, otherwise it's going to be too late later.
Unfortunately for Kelvin, that is a never-in call by the observer there.
What does that mean, May?
Means the disc was never in bounds, so they'll be able to take it
all the way up in that corner. That's brutal. Well, they're trapping them on the corner. What they're going to really try and do is not let anyone attack that open side. But Ethan is just too fast. Another goal by ECI.
This is exactly what I've been talking about, is that creativity in the open side space. No matter how narrow the lane is, they're trapped on that sideline corner, but somehow still get it back up that open side, despite Matthias Froese being very close to his matchup there.
Mate, we haven't seen too many comebacks so far in this tournament, but we know that in Ultimate, anything can happen. It's really up to Kelvin just to keep their heads up high and believe that they can do it. If they start doubting themselves, then the game's as good as over. What I like is that no matter the score, no matter the result of the point, everyone's coming out and they are a team. Down 5 is a lot to recover from May. It would take a couple of pretty big mistakes and, more importantly, some great plays from Kelvin to make up for it. Mistakes from ECI, of course. ECI just don't look like they're going to make mistakes. They're going to make some drops and maybe a bad decision here or there, but it doesn't look like their whole system's going to collapse. It's just too solid.
No, they're even joking on the sideline there. It looks like the three main offensive key players on the on their line there, with Vecchio, Pananin, and Colebrook just pulling up their sleeves and flexing at each other.
Well, to be up by 5 in a high school final, it's easy to get carried away. Hopefully they can get carried away a bit too much and give a chance for Kelvin to make a comeback here.
Absolutely. I'd like for one of our games on stream to be a bit closer.
Well, with a pull like that, that's a good start. Kelvin gets to start about 2/3 down the field. Medina's already on the disc, counting down, staring down the handler like he just broke up with her best friend. Look at that athleticism. I don't know how she has calves like that to be able to keep jumping. It's probably all the volleyball. Amazing.
Etobicoke, Thomas Airy, and Raichura making their way up the field.
I think Medina's talking shit to them while she's marking them. Talking trash. Sorry, excuse my language.
Raichura's laughing as she's marking him. And Thomas Airy with the collection to Maeve Hammerling. And you can hear her teammates screaming, no, 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 thinking that Maeve was about to put it up. But Thomas Airy with the disc back. And he puts up an attempted blade to Maeve Hammerling, I believe, but it is just turned over by that wind. Raichura on the mark on Pananin and Etobicoke on Colebrook. No defender on Maggie Cousineau right now, and and Cousineau puts his hands up.
Too deep, Cam! Move in!
So there is a mismatch on players right now. She's trying to get off of Vecchio, but is unable to find that appropriate switch. There we go. But now Medina's wide open. Unfortunately, ECI were not able to find advantage of it, and they call a timeout instead.
Again, ECI with the mega brain IQ timeout calls on the other team's end zone line.
Mate, why is calling a timeout there such a useful play and such a smart thing for these young players to be doing at this point in the game?
Well, when a team is up as much as ECI is, being able to catch your breath, especially with Pananin, Vecchio, and Colebrook playing almost every single point, and Medina playing every single point, it's a good opportunity to catch your breath and slow down the offense, be able to set up a static offense in the other team's end zone, and make any adjustments that you might not be able to make when you are a little bit tired and working out there.
We also know that ECI love their set plays, so let's keep a look at and see what kind of set play they're going to throw at Kelvin off the top here.
If I were a betting kind of girl, which I'm not, I would take a bet on either Marcus Colebrook or Kaya Kilniff-Takis being the subject of one of these end zone plays.
All right, I'll take that bet. I think Medina's going to get it. Okay, let's see what happens here.
Colebrook actually has the disc, so
Colebrook does have to start with the disc, as he's the one who made the timeout call. Looks like Kelvin's starting with some sort of zone in front of the end zone there.
I like it. I like throwing something a little bit different at a team to make
throw them off their set play, yes.
Exactly.
Move it around! It's zone! It's zone!
So their set play is now out the door. Now they just have to go back to their traditional offense. Still playing a zone by Kelvin. Nice thought by the Kelvin leadership. This is the kind of curveball you need to throw at this point in the game. A lot of energy there.
Maeve Hemerling is just working in this zone. An active mark.
As well as Violet Hagel. And that Kelvin defense resulted in a turnover. Well done, Kelvin.
Behind, Kayla, Sarah. Yep.
Another cross play, but Marcus has that all day long. When will the opposition teams learn that you just can't really put a sky battle up against Marcus?
Maggie Cousino with the disc in her hands. Back to Pananen. And they're setting this zone up again. Pananen just throwing scoobers as easily as...
And there goes Marcus. Nice little 1-2 action there with him and Pananen just moving open to that open side. They weren't really able to set their zone effectively against that offense.
I genuinely have no idea how this ECI line has had the stamina to be able to go on again and again and again and again. It looks like Hayden Jackson is wanting to get on the line here, perhaps, or...
It goes to show that it's not really about height, but it comes down to tactics and cardio. Really, Ultimate is such a sprinter sport.
Looks like ECI will be putting on a full line change with all of their star players taking a seat here and some new faces on the line.
It is 9-3, so this is a great chance for the coaches of ECI to give their bench players a chance to get some time in this big final. Shout out to the person with the disc in her hand right now. That's Jessica McNally. She's a longtime player in this program, and she's going to be going to a school near you next year and be playing Ultimate further in her lifetime. She hasn't had a lot of chance to play so far in this finals, but she's been a crucial player to get ECI to this point in the day. Big pull by Jessica.
With only 8 minutes left in this game, Kelvin will have to work very hard to be able to get over this 6-point deficit. Matthias Froze with the disc in the middle. And he hits Camille in the middle.
Nice throw there by Matthias.
Again to number 9.
Blade over the top, and it's an unfortunate drop. Tough throw to catch. Big huck by ECI going the other way. Chased down by number 50 for ECI, who grabs it. That's Spencer Ingram. He's now got it about 20 yards, 10 yards away from the end zone. Gives it to the coach's son, Jackson, who unfortunately throws it away. That is either karma or it is a revenge against his parents. Blade over the top. Can't reel it in. It's nice vision by Mateus, but those are tough catches to get when they're coming down with such speed.
We have, okay. You got it. Hard, girl, move.
Keith McCaffrey is not able to get that D. And Hayden Jackson with the disc again, up to Matthias Froze with the D.
Kelvin got to be moving fast. They're running low on time, and if they don't start scoring soon, it's not going to work out for them. Big contact there by two of the ECI players, but fortunately they both look fine. Jackson maybe a little bit shook, but he's going to pick up the disc anyways.
They both got up immediately after that giant collision that left the sideline going, ooh. McCaffrey doing a great job on that reset defense. And there he is, getting the D again. Matthias Froze picks it up.
Let's see if we get another blade over the top from Matthias Froze. Oh, just a simple dish that time. That's nice to change it up.
Eagle with the disc. Back to Froze. Back to Hegel. Back to Froze.
UCI's defense are really pushing back. Pushing back Kelvin. Another ECI on ECI block there. But everyone seems okay again, thank gosh. Throw over the top, and that's a completion for this ECI line. Kelvin's eager to get back on the line. They got to make this turnaround, and they haven't given up.
Unfortunately, that is a 7-point deficit now that they have to get over.
Now they're not only facing the deficit, but they're also fighting the clock. Looks like there might be a timeout called. What are some of the things that ECI have done so well in this tournament to get to this stage in the finals?
ECI seems like they're just playing like they've played together forever. The chemistry between all of them has been great to see, especially on that starting line that's been going on over and over and over again. Especially with playing that much together, I'm sure they know exactly what each of them is going to do and what to expect from.
What I think is really interesting about this ECI team, if we look at a lot of their starters, a lot of the names that we've been saying a lot today, typically at this level of high school, the best teams are teams that have several players who play at junior club teams, and they're able to get reps outside of high school. This team, several of their players don't play club. Medina, Kaya,
Holbrook.
Yep. And yet they're able to use their athleticism from their other sports to make this team successful.
Absolutely. Transferable skills at this level are so important to use, and I am not surprised that many of those players are multi-sport athletes.
Move in. That's it. Jill.
Again, ECI are playing more of their depth players, not all of their all-stars, just letting everyone get a couple of reps in this big final.
No, not.
Hopefully Kelvin is not too shaken up and uses this opportunity to sneak in a few points just to minimize this deficit. Maeve Hemmerly is in this popping space. And almost a block by Kylie.
Maeve has to be one of the players who can be most proud of her performance in this final, regardless of the scoreline. She's really shown up several times, both offensively and defensively, making big plays, just like that play by that ECI player. ECI now.
Bonus with the block.
Shout to Bonus.
You got Maggie.
And there's Bonus with the bookends. A bookend in Ultimate is when you make the defensive play, your team then has possession, and you're able to make the score. Just you're making the front end and the back end of that entire point.
It seems like Kelvin has just lost a bit of fire there, not having the right force on that end zone line.
Oh, it sounds like that's the game getting called. We are at time. Or it's a score game. I'm not quite sure. Regardless, the game is over. ECI are your UCSHI winners.
HSI.
Sorry, say it again for me, May.
UCHSI.
Thanks so much, May. They are your winners for this year. They've gotten revenge over Kelvin beating them last year. Maybe we'll see them both in the finals again next year, or maybe we'll see two new teams. Doesn't matter. What we do know is that no matter what, our sponsors for next year are hopefully going to be the same.
With BE Ultimate and Discraft, we're providing our apparel and our discs.
I just want to give a shout out to you, May. Look at them. They just threw the jug of ice water on their couch. That's classic. Congrats to ECI for winning their finals. May, I want to give a shout out to you. As I was saying, you are moving to Winnipeg. We're going to miss you so much here. Thanks so much for delaying your trip for a week just to do this streams with us here. That's it for us. We're going to call it there. Thanks for tuning in, folks at home, and have a great day.
Bye.